on the Hunter Biden situation. So let's dive right into this. The Oversight Project today released an insane report, a truly insane report. And I think we actually have it ready and set up for those of you here on the live stream to check out some of the B-roll here. So May 6th, 2025, there was a FOIA, a Freedom of Information Act response from the Department of Justice, releasing 302 pages in part and then withholding 3 pages in full in response to the Heritage Foundation's Oversight Project's request for records related to Hunter Biden and Mann Act violations. So the central document is to an October 21st, 2020 internal email with the subject line, the Mann Act. That is 2 weeks before the presidential election. And there's a series of emails that we're looking at here, but there is one key internal email that says the sender attached documents related to, quote, SM and solicitation, like sexual favors solicitation, and identified certain records as, quote, most probative for Mann Act purposes, end quote. And then the attachments and exhibits were organized around communications with 2 individuals labeled Trafficker 1 and Trafficker 2, along with several women described as likely escorts. Now, the Mann Act, or the White Slave Tariff Act of 1910, is a federal law which criminalizes interstate or foreign transport of individuals for prostitution, debauchery, and other immoral purposes. Originally, it was aimed at combating slavery, and it's been amended to focus on sex trafficking and forced sexual activity, with penalties up to 10 years for adults and much, much higher if a minor is involved. So why do I bring all of this up? The exhibits reference possible interstate travel, including Los Angeles International to Boston, JFK to Boston, travel to Delaware, possible New Jersey to New York travel, and the subject driving from Massachusetts to New York. A December 2018 thread places Hunter Biden at the Roxy Hotel in New York and includes messages arranging an in-person meeting at that location. This is why the Oversight Project is incredible. Mike Howell's team does the Lord's work consistently, linking up what can only be described as the same type of social media and oppo research to what individuals are around different places at different times, matching up with redacted documents that are Freedom of Information Acts. A couple of weeks before the election, it appears that the Department of Justice, knowing the election is very close, had substantial evidence to suggest that Hunter Biden was doing some interstate whoring around. Now, that is the kind of thing that were this back in 2016 between now President Trump and then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. The Trump administration, if he was in charge, or if there was this information that came out maybe against Trump in 2016, the Obama administration would have released that in a heartbeat. And they tried everywhere and every which way. But this information was kept quiet. So there's all kinds of stuff here. There's a December 2018 exchange, including references to hourly charges of $1,000 and $10,000. And that's not a lawyer, ladies and gentlemen. Some of that language is conversational and arguably joking, but it appears that in the same broader set of messages, it involves hotel room meetings and payment discussions. January 2019 exchange places the sender in Boston and includes discussion of someone being sent payment through Cash App or wire transfer and negotiations, because, negotiating the prostitute, like in Catch Me If You Can, $3,600, $5,000, and then $9,500. Well, I sure hope they had a good time. Gee whiz. Across the records, payment methods referenced include Cash App, Zelle, wire transfer, Venmo, PayPal, and certified checks in the context of these arrangements. What's the core takeaway? Federal investigators had compiled and formally organized this evidence under explicit Mann Act framing before the 2020 election. But no charges were ever filed. It didn't release to the American public. You're just hearing about this the first time. And again, please don't take my word for it. Viewer discretion advised here. Here's some of the information that's been documented. Brianna Barty requesting $1,000. all of this information, for example, from Sex Pressure Self LLC. Hunter Biden, again, interstate solicitation and prostitution. He was never charged with that. None of that. If you or I committed these crimes, unless we were doing it for Beijing, we would be hauled off to the Hootskow immediately. But Hunter Biden, well, I mean, you know. And again, that was under President Trump's first term Department of Justice as it then transitioned to Joe Biden's. The father of the guy doing this alleged trafficking is Department of Justice. I know that was a long thing for the apostrophe S Department of Justice. Now, the documents do not explain why prosecutors declined to pursue Mann Act charges or reveal internal prosecutorial deliberations about that decision. The Oversight Project doesn't make any direct assertions either, but you don't need them here, guys. I mean, come on. But you really don't need the Oversight Project or me or the documents themselves to tell you. You can actually have the individuals from the intelligence agencies, like former director of the CIA, John Brennan, openly bragged to Nicole Wallace today that there are thousands of people, he says openly, in the bureaucracy that are just happy to thwart Trump and Republicans at any given time. An army of bureaucrats. This is, again, today, Nicole Wallace, MS Now.
He has succeeded largely in turning DOJ and the FBI into political arms of his political operation. What still exists in the system to slow that down?
Well, I think, as Liz mentioned, there's still a legion of professionals in the law enforcement environment, the Department of Justice, as well as the CIA and other places, the ones who are refusing to follow politically motivated prosecutions, those who are refusing to support any type of political activities on the part of the Trump administration that are inconsistent with the authorities, the responsibilities of the intelligence community, law enforcement community, and Department of Justice.
Oh, just an army of bureaucrats. Chuck Schumer, we've appointed hundreds of justices to do whatever it is that we want. Captain, I seem to believe that is, as the legal terminology is, really, really, really stinking suspicious.